welcome to Seasons Cleanings. I am your cleaning lady, Shenna Von K, and I'm here to answer all of our cleaning questions, from organizing to just mindsets of where to start. I will teach you everything that I know. I'm going to bring in the experts to help us learn together, and together we'll be able to figure out some solutions, techniques, and products to use to help us clean like pros. On today's episode, it is Hostess with the Mostest, and we brought in our first guest, and she is a hostess with the mostest. Anyone that happens to know her already knows this about her, and she will welcome you into her home with big open hands and lots of food. She is someone that you might actually know because she's a real estate agent here locally with the Blythe Team at Nebraska Realty. And she is my mother, Lesa Blythe.
Thanks, honey, for letting me be here. I'm excited to be your very first person that you actually host on your show.
Oh yeah, I'm hosting you for my first guest as Hostess with the Mostest.
There you go. You're the hostess with the mostest too.
Well, let's go ahead and get started with today's episode. We're going to talk about all things when you invite guests to your house to stay. And we are going to hit things but preparing before guests come, a little bit of hosting and having them there and enjoying your guests, to the aftermath that is always left behind when you have people at your house. But if you know my mom, you know that somehow she keeps the house clean the whole entire time guests are there and prepares and has all these things, and she's also a food pusher. So we will talk about all of those things here with my mom, who is in my life definitely the hostess with the mostest.
Okay, well, Shanna, thank you for that. Yes, I am a food pusher because I want to make sure people feel like they have had plenty to eat, because, you know, sometimes people don't want to ask for seconds. So yeah, I am kind of a food pusher. And when people come to my house, I like to prepare foods that I think they like. So anyway.
Not alone on that. Me and Chelsea, my sister, her daughter, we're food pushers too, but we like to give her a hard time.
Yeah.
So let's start off with a fun little just icebreaker, just to start the show off and get going. But my question for you, and she does not know this at all what I'm asking, but it's just fun to ask. But what is your least favorite chore?
My least favorite chore is probably dusting around my bed headboard. But the good news is nobody's sleeping in my bed other than my husband, your dad. But thought I'd throw that in there. But because it's got a lot of ornateness to it, and so it's really hard to dust. So honestly, I really hate dusting that.
Yeah, I hate dusting that too when I come and clean for you.
Yeah, because you are, you know, the one that normally cleans for me.
It's gorgeous, but it holds on to everything.
It does, a lot of ornate.
Oh, that's a good one. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started with if we're hosting people in town. So you have someone who just called, you both have picked out the date on your calendar, and as soon as you get off the phone and you're like, oh, we got it set, what is the things you start doing to prepare for those guests coming?
Okay, well, the first thing I want to do is make sure I have gone to the grocery store to grab some items that I think that they would like. But as far as the cleaning aspect, the day before, a couple days before, I make sure all the linens are clean, all the bedding is fresh, the mattress covers are all clean, and, you know, because let's be real, there's times when those little fly or something can get, you know, in between your mattress, and the last thing I would want is for somebody to pull a mattress back and see something that's dirty there. So I always make sure everything's real clean and tidy. I make sure I get the whole house cleaned and usually prepare a couple of dishes. But in specific, once the laundry is done, once the bedding is on the bed, and a lot of times I have a wonderful housekeeper that comes and cleans my house for me, which would be Shanna, my daughter, who
I
does.
will give you that. My mom is really good about checking the calendar, and she will schedule either me to come clean or someone to come clean right before company comes, so that way that's one thing off of her super busy life list.
That's right, because I do work full time, and in real estate, you never know when someone's going to want to go look at a house, and especially with this market right now, you got to go quick. And so I do prepare as much time as I can ahead of time, but yet still have that freshness that when people arrive. So that's kind of what I do a couple of days before, making sure the bathrooms are all filled with shampoos and soaps and body wash and hairspray, all those kinds of things that I like to have ahead of time so that if they forget something, it's prepared for them when they get there.
That is a good one. And you also mentioned something to me a while back where you said that you call and just kind of go over any preferences that they might have.
Yes.
And maybe see what were some of the things that you asked your guests before they come, just to kind of make sure that that's a very special little visit for them?
Sure. Well, one of the first things I like to find out is what is their drink of preference. So if they have a certain soft drink that they like, or are they coffee drinkers? Do they like bold? Do they like very medium strength tea? You know, just those kinds of drinks, so that when we're just sitting around or we're having a meal, I've got plenty of things that they like and it's prepared. Or if sometimes they drink certain types of water.
Yeah.
And so I like to know that ahead of time. Also, if they have any food allergies. Now, usually if someone's come to stay with me and stay all night, I already know them well enough to know some of those things. But every once in a while, you know, someone will get married and maybe I've not met the spouse, or I don't know the spouse as well. And so I want to know, you know, again, if there's any food allergies, peanuts, you know, just anything like that, so that I'm not serving them something that's going to be bad.
So when you get all of your food and snacks and everything prepared, you do that a couple of days before? Like, how late up till they're coming do you go get all that stuff, or do you make sure it's in the house ahead of time?
So usually if it's a non-perishable, like canned goods and stuff like that, I will have all of that prepared, probably, or ready to make the dish or whatever, you know, maybe up to a week before or 4 or 5 days before. But I like to get like my lettuce salads, my fruits, those kind of things that I like to have sitting out, so that way if people want to munch on them or they're a little bit hungry and I'm preparing food, they've got something healthy that they can munch on. So I'm kind of a big fruit person. And so I like to get that like right the day before, or sometimes even the morning if they're coming that afternoon or evening.
So it's fresh.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Then when do you usually clean? Like if they're coming in, say they're coming in on a Friday at like 5 o'clock. When do you clean? Do you clean before or do you clean day of? I'm just curious.
Usually I try to clean a couple days before, and then I might just do like the beds and everything's put away where it needs to be, and then I'll do a real quick dust and vacuum, usually right before they come.
That's usually when I do too, so it's like fresh and it stays. Or I'll do a breakdown where I'll do the top part of my house, and then kind of get stuff done, and then when it gets closer, then do the bottom half so it stays clean and it looks fresh with the vacuum lines.
Right, I do like the vacuum lines if I have that kind of carpet, which I do. So.
Yes, you do, yes. Okay, cool, well then we actually did a checklist of kind of everything you and me together just before this to make sure we were on the same. So what are some of those checklist items that we were talking about that you kind of do for your room? Because I know that I had some that you hadn't done, and you had some that I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So what were some of those that we talked about? Can you remember?
Yeah, I have a few things because I had company that stayed. My aunt and uncles from Colorado came in and stayed with us for about 4 days. And so it's fairly fresh in my mind because that was in October. So we're kind of talking about the day they arrive.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So now they've arrived. That day when they arrive, I like to have the lamps on in the room that they're staying, and I have lamps throughout the house on. I think lamps give a really nice ambiance.
Yeah, it makes it feel home, and it's inviting.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I'm with you there.
And I just think it's just a nice gesture. Same thing, you know, with when you sell real estate, we always say keep some lamps on. It just gives a very nice ambiance. Also, I have some nice smelling candles. Now, I try not to do too many candles because some people are sensitive to smell. And so, but I'll do like one fragrance that maybe I'll have 2 or 3 different candles throughout the house with the same fragrance. And so I like to have those burning. Of course, they arrive. I like if it's in the winter, like now, the fireplace up and burning, so it just feels good and warm. But when they arrive I show them to their bedroom where they're going to be staying. I obviously show them where the towels and all the linens, the washcloths. I show them the shower if they have any questions about how to work the shower. Ours is pretty generic, but
that's a good call to ask them about or show them how to work the showers, because I clean showers and I can tell you there are some that are so confusing, and I've definitely got myself.
Yeah, have you ever been in a hotel room and you're like, okay, you're hitting buttons and trying to push things in the shower?
No, I don't go to nice hotels. I can't afford it.
Well, and there's the one that you pull the thing down on the bottom of where the water comes out.
Yeah.
It's like, how in the world do you get the shower on? And finally, and then when you're not expecting is when the water comes flying out.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I've done that.
So, but I always like to, if there's something odd about my shower, like.
That's a good point, though. Like if you have weird things in your home, to point out to them, like if you have a light that only works if you use this side or both of them are off or something like that. That's a good point.
Yeah, so just things like that. I always like to show them the closet, and I always like to make room in the closet so they have plenty of room to hang their stuff. They're not going to be there for months, but, well, you hope not. Don't make it too cozy. They may stay too long. I'm just joking. But anyway, I like it to have it where they can easily get their stuff in the closet. I do like to sometimes keep an ironing board in the guest bedroom, but honestly, I only have one ironing board, and sometimes I don't leave that. But it is kind of a nice gesture if you decide to do that. But
kind of depending on what they're in town for.
So what they're in town for.
Business or something where they need to dress
nice. If they're dressing nice. If they're just coming in for casual, I don't think it's quite as concerned. But so I always like to make sure, like I said earlier, the shampoo is in the shower, conditioner, soap.
And you even
body
go as
wash.
far as having all of the toiletries that they would need, like a toothbrush.
Yes.
I mean, most people pack their own, but you make sure you have extras of all of that
I have brand new toothbrushes in case somebody has forgotten theirs. Then, they have one. They don't even have to ask for it. They don't have to be embarrassed and say, we left our toothbrush.
Yes.
So I have that. Deodorant, toothpaste, just really all of the toilet, anything that they would normally pack.
Right.
But let's face it, we all forget things sometimes. And so that way they're there, and even extra razors if they need that. So I really try to make it feel like almost like a bed and breakfast kind of thing.
That's how I feel like when I clean. I want to leave it pretty, you're walking into like a nice hotel room or something like that.
Yeah.
So when guests come, what do you do about temperature? Because I've been in people's houses and I've been freezing, and I've been so hot where I'm like, I wish it was winter so I could step outside.
Right. And that is a real problem because different people have different temperatures that they're comfortable with. Even spouses. Yeah. So we've kind of come to an agreement after 38 years of where the thermostat's going to stay, but it's comfortable for us, and it may be too hot or too cool for someone else. Yeah. And in the guest bedroom, where our guest bedrooms are actually in the lower level of a walkout basement. So the basements tend to be a little bit cooler.
Right.
So we keep our thermostat, usually it goes down to around 69 at night in the lower level, and during the day it would be around 71 or 72. But I do have in the closets, I keep a little tiny heater / fan that, and I always point that out, feel free to bring this out and use this if you want. It'll, break any noise that maybe you're not accustomed to, or some people just like the noise.
Sleep with stuff on. They sleep with TVs on and things like that.
Right. And then also, like I said, the heater. If they do get a cold, you can turn it on to different temperature. So that kind of covers that.
And you also mentioned that and I think this is so important, I feel like all my grandmas have always done this, but they point out where extra blankets are. And I love that because if I'm getting cold in the middle of the night, and I can run and go put it on, like nothing's worse than being cold when you're sleeping and it's waking you up.
It's true.
So and especially that. But you do a lot of showing everyone through the house to kind of let them know where everything is. Right. How do you make sure that they really feel comfortable to get into stuff? Is that pretty much?
It's pretty much a given. When they come in, I just want to say, welcome to my home. And just so you know, if you don't see it, please ask for it or please look for it.
Right.
My home is your home. You're my guest. I want you to feel comfortable. So look for anything you don't see or ask me, because some people don't want to look through your stuff. But I try to point out some of the obvious things, like here's where we keep extra blankets, extra pillows, because some people like certain hard pillows. I have some foam. I have some feather, and so
you do keep different types of pillows?
I do have some of those.
That's above and beyond.
I pretty much know what you like, as I know you like the feather.
Yes.
So whenever you're coming, I usually have a feather pillow on the bed, and sometimes on the bed I'll keep a foam and a feather.
I never knew that you did that.
Yeah.
Well, what else do you keep on the pillows?
And before people actually, when they get there. That night, they may not see it until they, pull the shams back. But I have little mints that I do put on the pillows, and it's kind of fun. I don't do it every time. I guess I shouldn't say it. Somebody's watching this and go, I didn't get mints.
I didn't get mints.
I didn't get mints a lot of times to the kids.
It's okay, this is a local
it's
channel.
Unexpected.
So no one that's out of town will see it.
Well, unexpected, if it's like you decide you're going to stay over, or a grandchild or something. Not necessarily for them. But if it's company coming from out of town, I do like to put like a little mint or something on the pillow.
Right.
So it's fun.
So I forgot to mention, when cleaning, I have a little tip for you. Whenever you have someone come to stay and you're going to clean the house before they come, and everybody wants to get the house cleaned up, my little tip is to start with the guest bedroom and bathroom first, and then move into maybe like the powder bathroom and like the living room and the kitchen and all the areas that you will be first. And the reason that I suggest this is because after a while you can kind of lose some steam, or you can lose time, or you can lose energy. And so kind of tackle the areas that they will be first, and then save like your room or the kids' rooms or laundry room for like last if you can get to, because they're only gonna see them maybe for a second if you show them a tour of your house. Or they might not see them at all, and then you don't have to worry about it, just shut the door. So that's just a little cleaning tip, to kind of start with the most energy in the areas that you think that would be the one that you would want them to see the cleanest room, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good point, because sometimes you do run out of time, or someone says, hey, we're happy to come into Omaha, and we're just gonna, that my brother and his fiance did that to us a few months back, and said, we're going to be going through Omaha. We only have one night. We're going to only be there for probably 12 hours total. And so didn't give me a lot of time. Well, my house is generally picked up. It's not always clean with dust and stuff, but it's usually picked up. And so I got their room and the bathroom taken care of, and then of course the kitchen, living room, where we'd be spending
just
time.
Where you'd be.
And my room, my bathroom, it's like I said, picked up, but not, I wouldn't do the white glove test in it.
Well, if it's the last minute, and we actually just did an episode on that, on just quick cleaning.
Yeah.
And like go-to moves if someone's like, hey, we're coming over, and got 15 minutes. So we did tackle that, but it's a little bit different when people are gonna stay the night. You usually have a heads up.
Right.
So one thing that you're really, really good at, and like this, I always joke, and I think I've joked this before, but I wish I would have paid attention to you a little bit more when I was a kid and I was playing with my Barbies over here. I wish I would have paid attention to my mom and how she kept a house, because it's always organized, clean. You can show up to my mom's house and she'll say, oh, no, it's not, Shenna, but we all know it is. And she keeps it really tidy, but she has this really great habit of cleaning when guests are there, but not taking away from being with her guests. So I want you to give us some pointers on that, because you do a really good job of keeping the house pretty clean, except for when the grandkids. I mean, then Elisa, you've got no shot.
Well, honestly, it's just a habit. They're just habits, daily habits of, to me, everything in my house has a place to go. It has a home. And so it's just a habit, like when I bring Mel in, for instance. I don't bring it and set it down. I usually take it right to the office, right to my desk, or even sometimes put it in a drawer if I know someone's coming. So it's picked up. And when I get to it, I try to get to it, throw away the stuff I don't need, and keep the stuff I do need right then. So I don't procrastinate. It's just a habit. Same way with when the dishes are done and we're done eating, I put them in water so they can kind of start soaking.
You do that, yeah.
And I clean them off fairly quickly. Now, if someone's only coming to stay for dinner that evening and they're not staying all night, a lot of times I will say, let's just put the dishes in the sink, fill it with water so they have a chance to kind of get the stuff off of them.
Help you out a little.
And then say, I'll do the dishes, after you're gone, because they only have 3 or 4 hours they're stopping by. I want to spend that time visiting with them. But really, it's just a matter of every place. When I go down the stairs, just regular everyday stuff. If I'm going down the steps and something needs to go, I set it at the top of the step and I take it down when I go.
Right.
When I come up the steps,
do you do that when you have guests over?
I sometimes
or well, you just
probably not
take it away?
as I probably would take it or just put it maybe in the laundry room, one room in the house where it's not where a lot of people would go.
Right.
Because also you want to be conscientious of your guests. My dad is 90, and if he's coming over, I don't want something to be left out where he'd trip on it.
Good point.
So I probably wouldn't leave it at the top, but just the daily habit of keeping my house picked up, it's because I clean up every day. About every morning, I take maybe 15 minutes max
I do that
to
too.
put things away and just put things, where they belong. That maybe when I went to bed at night, I was a little tired and I didn't put something away.
Wow,
or
I
a
can't
load of
imagine
laundry.
that.
Well, but anyway, so it's just the daily habits, and it
Do you
just flows
tend to
over.
clean up after the guests? Like if they have their stuff everywhere? What do you do if someone's messy in your home?
If they tend to have their stuff kind of everywhere,
Yeah.
honestly, gonna be honest, that really drives me crazy.
I can tell.
But I don't want them to feel uncomfortable.
Right.
Last thing I want is for them to think, oh boy, she is
No, it doesn't
stressing
drive
over
you
this.
crazy, but it's just that you like things tidy, so you notice things out of place. It's not that you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want any of this stuff.
Right.
It's just like, ooh, we could put that in a closet.
Right. Well, and so like their shoes, if they're just kind of, they take them off and they're just left out. A lot of times I will, it depends. If it's my mother-in-law, I will leave her stuff because I don't want her to think because she says I make her nervous because I run so fast, a fast pace.
I think you make a lot of people nervous
I
with how
don't
fast.
mean to,
It's not
though.
like they're nervous. It's just that you are a busybody,
Thank
and then
you.
I am too.
Busybody.
But I feel like, well, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but like if the grandkids come and they're just taking their shoes off right at the door, they all know where things go. So them, I will say, all right, kiddos, please go put your shoes away where they belong. And they know where they belong. They just habits. But if it's like several guests, say I'm hosting a big event, like last year at this time, I did an ornament exchange at my house.
Right.
And there were like, well, you were there.
Yeah,
there were like 36 to 40 women.
Yeah.
And, I don't stress over
But it
everybody's
seems
shoe.
clean the whole time.
Well, it was because it was all women.
No.
And most women, they like their houses to be clean. Not everybody, but they're very conscientious.
Did you have a room for everybody's bags and stuff?
I did.
Yeah, because it wasn't like stuff was thrown out everywhere. It felt very tidy and clean.
Right.
It's your house.
So I have a great big coat closet, and I did empty a lot of things out of it that day because I knew it was cold.
That's a good one to prepare ahead.
Right, and so everybody had a place to pretty much hang their coat, but I didn't have enough room for 40 coats. So I just offered people to go lay it on my bed and their bags and their purses and stuff. And so it was in the not the guest bedroom, the master bedroom, but it was very close to where we were meeting. So nobody had to go up or down steps. And so anyway, that's what I do if it's a big party that's coming for a few hours. But honestly, I try not to be too picky about when people come because I don't want them to think, oh man, we must be really making our house a mess.
Well,
and
I
so
think it's kind of nice if everyone's keeping it clean because some guests, like I'll notice even if I go to a hotel with some girlfriends, like we'll go out of town or something, like after a while, I gotta pick up the hotel room. I'm like, it feels like everything's chaotic and I like things a little bit like, okay, so we're not just a giant mess right in here. It just seems kind of all over the place. So I'm sure a lot of guests really enjoy it because they're like, it's so relaxing to have things kind of clean and picked up and orderly.
I'd rather err on being a little bit overly clean
Yeah.
than err on someone coming and thinking, I don't know that I even want to drink a glass of water.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know, for fear the dishes are not clean, or that they don't feel like they can be comfortable to take their shoes off
Right.
because the floors are so dirty. So I'd rather err on being a little bit overly clean.
Well, let's move into when the guests are leaving.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if some of the guests ever ask you what to do or not, because sometimes when I'm a guest, I always will ask, like, what would you like me to do? But for the most part, what's kind of your map plan of when they are leaving or have left the house to kind of clean up an aftermath?
So when a lot of times when people are leaving, it's usually a morning, when they're leaving to go wherever they're going to go next. And if they ask me, I will say, well, if you want to grab the sheets and pull them off the bed, just bring them up and I'll toss them into the laundry later. If they don't ask me and they do it, that's fine. If they just leave them on the bed, that's fine too. But honestly, usually before the end of the day or into the morning after they've left, I've already taken them off and already put them back into the laundry, and they're already getting washed, so they're going to be folded and cleaned for the next set of company.
Do you have 2 sets of sheets, or do you go wash them and then put them back on and make the beds that day?
Well, honestly, I have 2 or 3 different sets of sheets. I have 2 different queen beds that I have for company. I wish I had king beds, but honestly, they might be too comfortable. They'd never leave.
Yeah,
No.
that's true.
But no, I have 2 different guest bedrooms with queen beds.
Yeah.
And so I alternate sometimes those sheets, but I usually like to put my favorite pair on. And so when after they leave, I wash them and I have those intended for the next set of company. But things happen if you have back-to-back company,
That's true.
which has happened before. And so I've got extra set that I can put on in case I haven't got a chance to get those washed and put back on before the next set of company comes.
Well, thank you, Mom, so much for coming on my show and being my first guest. I hope I was a good host.
You were amazing. And honestly, I'm honored that you would think to use your mother and that you put me in such high regard on my hosting abilities. Thank you, hon.
Well, I think anyone who stayed at your house would 100% agree, or even just came over for a party, that you make people feel welcome, you make them feel invited, and you just make them feel good, which is a gift that you give them.
Thank you.
So anyway, thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you have any questions or comments and you want to put them, oops. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions or comments, or do you have any cleaning problems you want us to get to, go ahead and email us. And then that way we can start bringing in some experts or answer your questions. Because like I said, I am here for you as your cleaning lady. So we will figure this all out together. I thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.